Hi friends, welcome back for another episode. We are going to be working on spinal flexion and spinal rotation today. All right, we are going to get started on the hips first though. We'll take a block as a pillow, or even if you have a pillow as a pillow, we'll place it underneath the head. Take the other block in between the hands, and as you squeeze it, we're going to give a light irradiation into the block. All right, we'll start to work on that top leg through our hip CARs. We can lift the leg just a little bit off of that right leg. We'll bring the knee in towards us, and then we'll sweep that foot towards the block as we open up the hip. Make sure that that hip doesn't fall back, but we still have everything stacked. Start to push the knee away from us here as we extend the leg. So we should be feeling that right through the back of the leg. And as we bring the knee back in, as we flex the hip, sweep the foot towards the block, open up the hip again, all while maintaining that stacked hip here. Press the knee away as we internally rotate and extend. Again, flex at the hip, sweep the left foot towards the block, open as we abduct, and then internally rotate as we extend, pushing the knee a little bit back behind us. Last round this way. And then sweeping that open, pressing the knee away, and we'll change direction. So again, taking that leg back into extension, opening up the hip here, and again, as we sweep that left foot towards the block, and we start to extend that leg back again, abduct, and then we'll externally rotate. And we got two more just like that. And last one here. And so we'll get those knees stacked. You can flip over, and we will go into the other leg. Again, just hitting those hips nice and early. I always find that it's nice to find some space in the hips first, getting some tissues primed before we move into the spine. All right, so again, we'll start with that top leg. Brace through the block, lift that right leg up, take the knee in, sweep the right foot towards the block, open up the hip, and again, spin as you kick the knee away from you as you extend the hip back. And as the leg comes in, sweep the foot towards the block, open as we abduct, internally rotate as you push the knee away from you, and then extend the leg back. Good, we got two more again. Coming in, sweeping the foot towards the block, opening up the hip, and again, pushing that knee away from you. And once we're finished this round, we are going to go and change direction again as you extend the leg back. So to lift, abduct, and then sweep the foot towards your block. Again, as we find that rotation through abduction, foot towards the block, and again, coming back into extension. We got two more just like this. Good, we'll bring those legs together. We're going to keep our blocks with us. And we'll come to stack the blocks more towards the center of the mat. And we're going to place the block more towards the lower rib area. Right, come down onto your forearms, and having that block just on the lower ribs, we're going to isolate the hips and then find a little bit of segmentation through the spine. Just as we find that brace through the arms, you're going to tuck the tailbone under so we get that posterior tilt. And you should feel just that lower back starting to flex. And as the hips lift, we'll get that extension through the spine. And then continuing that same movement here. Noticing that with the ribs on the block, that we're able to get a little feedback whether or not the rest of the spine is moving. Because we want to isolate just that little area in your lumbar spine. And last one, then we'll bring everything back into neutral. And we can place those blocks off to the sides. And bring the arms out in front. We'll take a high kneel. Arms reach out in front. Close your hands, make your fists. We're gonna go through some scapular rotation. Just make sure the arms aren't going up and down. They will move forward and back though. And bring the shoulders to the ears. Push the hands forward. So we'll open up that upper back like an elevator door. Deep press. Retract, shoulder blades together, elevates. And we'll continue going in that exact same direction. As always, trying to go as smooth and as steady as possible. Noticing where we're whipping around, and if we find a spot that we just tend to speed through, slow it down through the area. It will change direction, go the other way. Again, nice and steady. Protract, elevate, retract, depress, and continuing a couple more times. And last round here. And we'll take those arms back down. And once we bring those arms down, and we'll sit down onto the heels, right? Take the hands down just in front of the knees, and we're gonna find some movement through the rest of the spine. All right, first we'll take that flexion, and we'll start to get some segmentation, just like we were doing before. We'll start at the hips, start to lift the tailbone up, and then gently and slowly start to press through the lower back, pulling it in, push the belly forward, pop the lower ribs towards the front, chest through the shoulders, and head's gonna come up last. And we're gonna tuck that tailbone under, let that lower back open, pull in the lower belly. Now pull in those lower ribs, concave in the chest. And again, that head is the last thing to go. And nice and steady, start to lift the tailbone, lower back gently presses in, belly button starts to pull forward, lower ribs. And again, the chest is trying to break through the shoulders. Don't be afraid to use the arms and the hands here. And as we continue going through it, again, slow is the name of the game. We're not trying to win a race around here. Think of it as a marathon that we're going through, not a sprint. Good. Next time that we get into that extension, take the hands out and then come onto all fours. Create a nice box shape with the body. All right, now we're going to isolate the shoulders. And I want you to keep in mind that as we're doing this, that we're not trying to break the elbows or move the spine in any way. We want to keep that spine and elbows as solid as possible. Again, we're going to imagine that the upper back is an elevator door. We're going to close off the elevator door, drop the chest towards the floor. And then as you push the floor away, open up that elevator door. So that upper back is going to spread apart. And again, bring those elevator doors together. Drop the chest towards the floor. And again, protract. Again, just keep in mind whether we are bending our elbows, especially as we retract here, right? Or if we're coming up and protracting and really trying to get some rounding in that spine. We want to avoid both of those movements. And we'll go through one more. The next time that we protract, again, we're going to come up onto our knees, getting that high kneel and further getting into the spine. So we've switched back and forth, hips, shoulders, spine. All right, we're going to stay in the spine for a little bit longer. As you hug the shoulders around the spine, right? Keep those hips steady. Make sure we're not sticking the butt out behind you. It's considered rude. And as you start to take that rotation to the left, crunch everything on your left side. Bring the left shoulder down into your pocket. Lift the breastbone up towards the ceiling as we extend. Take the right shoulder down into your pocket and then start to rotate over to the right as we bring everything back into the center. We'll change direction and go the other way. Again, making sure that we've got those hips as steady as possible. And as Christian likes to say, imagine that you've got pylons around the hips, one in the front, the back, and through the sides. And the goal is to not knock over those pylons. Good, we'll go back one more time. So again, we take that rotation over to the right, crunch everything in, take the right shoulder down into the pocket, lift the breastbone up as we extend, take the left shoulder into your pocket, and then as we crunch everything in on that left side, start to bring that crunch to the middle, and then nice and slow and steady, back up into that high lunge or high kneel. Coming back down to all fours, and we are going to be here for quite a while, so get comfortable. Push the hands down, round the spine. Right, so we're trying to find that flexion throughout. Think of it as a global flexion here. And for some of us, those arms might get tired first before the spine, but we're trying to hang out and hold it for as long as we can. And as we're holding here, remember that when we go through PAILs and rails, it's a net zero movement, right? These are isometric, so there really shouldn't be much movement, especially going through the PAILs. Through the rails, you might be able to create a little bit more space, but it shouldn't be over exaggerated, or else you're probably not close to that end range that you should be. And just letting that spine open towards the ceiling. Explaining PAILs and rails here. Your PAILs, we're going to try to take your hands and knees and pull them towards one another like you're trying to shorten up your mat. All right, your rails, you're trying to push the hands and knees away like you're trying to tear your mat in half. And so remember that PAILs, we're trying to strengthen that stretched tissue, and in rails, we're trying to strengthen that closing angle regressive tissue, or the stuff on the opposite side of the stretch, if that's easier for you. All right, we'll take an inhale here. Pack the air down deep, nice and slow, 20% effort. Start to press the hands and knees towards one another like you're trying to shorten up your mat. Nice and steady, ramping up to 30%. 40. And as we get that consistent ramp up here, 60, matching the effort throughout if it's not already. I know it's hard not to when we're on our hands and knees. And that safest maximal effort. Really trying to crumple that mat up into the middle, working to bring the hands and knees towards one another. You got another 3, 2, 1. Push the hands and knees away. Squeeze the belly in. Pop the spine up towards the ceiling. And again, imagine that you're trying to tear your mat in half. 2, 1, gonna hold it here. Just breathing steadily. All right, and trying to get that feeling and sensation through the spine of those facet joints, working to create space. We are going to go for a second set. So again, as you take that inhale, pack the air down, nice and slow. Hands and knees trying to pull towards one another. And coming up to 30%. Now think 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. That continual, steady increase here. 60% effort, again, matching it throughout. Safest maximal effort, trying to shorten up the mat, pulling those hands and knees together as hard as you can. Sticky mat's that resistance. You got another 3, 2, push everything away, round the spine, pop that belly in. And continue to push hard. 3, 2, now hold it here. Just another 15 seconds. Two, 1, and it will slowly bring everything into neutral. Walk the hands back towards the knees. Tuck your toes, having those toes on the floor. We're going to come down onto the heels. Keep the belly in towards the thighs. And as you fold yourself in half here, we're going to slowly bring the spine together as you're trying to pull the hands up the shins like you're pulling on your pants. Just one little piece at a time. And coming all the way up. And separate the feet a little bit wider. Take the hands onto the thighs. Use those arms as support. So you're going to have two options here. This one there, which is a little bit easier than arms out in front, right? Rather than having just having the arms support us here, there's going to be no arm support, and it's going to be all of that stuff around here that's going to help hold you up. And then no matter which one you choose, try not to unbend those knees. So keeping those knees bent exactly as they are. Right, we're going to find a little rounding in our spine first. And remember, hands out is an option as well. We'll start to lift the tailbone up, slowly push through the back. So we're going through our spinal segmentations, pressing the belly forward, pressing the lower ribs forward, pulling the chest through the shoulders. And again, that head is coming up. And again, tucking that tailbone under, getting that spine to move slowly apart here. Again, try not to straighten the legs any further, but again, staying in the hips, staying nice and slow. Going through the other way. Again, a couple more. And noticing where we get choppiness in movement, slow it down through those areas. And we'll go for 2 more. Going for extension first. Good, and then going for that flexion second. And then once we get back into your flexion, we'll slowly come all the way up. And we're going to try to keep everything the same. Make sure that we're not twisting the spine here. Right, we'll get a little bit into the shoulders and that adduction. As you bring the arm across the body, I want you now to think about the biceps spinning forward in front. All right, we're going to find an internal rotation. So as the bicep starts to spin towards you, think about it going towards the floor. If you notice that that arm starts to move away from you, just squeeze it in. Again, take that bicep, try to spin it forward, and then spin the bicep back towards you. And again, biceps trying to spin forward, and then biceps spinning in, and then working to get down towards the floor. Whether or not it's moving towards the floor doesn't really matter here. And I'm gonna go one more round. And we'll lower that arm down. And same thing on the other side. I can take the arm across the body. Right. Find that adduction, really squeeze that arm in as close as you can. Spin the bicep forward. Again, that intention here is to find space. Spin the bicep in and then down, and then continue and rotate it the other way. And notice if that arm starts to drift away. Find strength on that stump on the front. Good, and again, as we slowly move into that internal rotation, we'll go for another round. Slowly externally rotate, squeezing, getting a feeling and sensation through the arm, through the front of the chest. Internally rotate, and then relax that arm down. And again, with those feet still about a wide hip distance, take the chin into the chest. We're going to start to peel that spine apart. Think about the shoulders gently rolling forward. And as we start to move down, think concaving in the chest first, going into the lower ribs, pulling that in, pressing the lower belly in, and then nice and slow. Like we're trying to take your pants off here. You can even think about running those hands down the shins. And we'll fold ourselves in half, bend the knees. And lifting the heels, taking the knees down to the floor. All right, the idea through these rotations is that we're going to work to get that rotation through the thoracic spine. All right, so with the knees probably wide apart, the knees towards the outer edges of the mat. Right, we'll take the right arm across and then bring the shoulder down. So think about that shoulder right to the center of your pelvis, and then take the left hand on top of the right, and we can cup here. And now once you cup or interlace your fingers, you're going to push that left hand forward and see if you can reach that right arm out in front as well. Again, resting the head down. The hips can be lifted if they've lifted up, so don't worry about sitting on the heels. And you should feel that through the outside of that, or I guess through the medial part of your scapula, and then through the spine as well. And once we hold it there, again, we're going to take a 2-minute pause in the area. All right, for your PAILs, when we get there, we're going to try to rotate ourselves through the floor. All right, so the arm, that right arm, is going to push down into the floor. Think about rotating it all the way through the earth. Right, in the rails, we're going to use this stuff here. Okay, you're going to squeeze it like you're swinging a golf club, and then trying to lift and rotate even further. And still holding on. Again, if you need to adjust the legs, you can always take an adjustment of the legs to try to keep that spine nice and steady. So again, remember that as we go through PAILs and rails, think of that intent, that purpose, as to work your sides, right? We're trying to rotate through the center. All right, so we'll take an inhale here, pack the air down, try to rotate the arm through the floor with 20% effort. Increasing that pressure here to 30. 40%. 60, pushing the arms down, squeezing that right side. Safest maximal effort. Another 3, 2, 1. Try to rotate. Try to lift the arms up, squeeze the stuff on that left side. Get a little bit further into that rotation. 3, 2. And then as you relax, you can hold it there. Feels good afterwards. Feels like some things loosened up. I don't know about you, but I feel a little bit more relaxed in this area. We're going to go through a second set. Let's see if I feel the same afterwards. And again, take that inhale. Nice and slow, 20% effort. Try to rotate your arms through the floor. Good, ramping up to 30. 40%. 60. 60. Safest maximal effort here. Keep pushing down hard. You got another 5 seconds. 3, 2, try to rotate the other way. Squeeze that stuff on the left side. Think about pushing the hands forward, dropping that left shoulder back. 2, 1, kind of relax and hold. We'll stay here for another 10 seconds or so. And you can relax and come on up, unrotate yourself here. I'm going to take a seat down on the heels. And staying on those heels. Again, going through your spinal CARs. Hug the shoulders. Flex the spine. Start going to the left. Crunch everything on your left side. Take the shoulder into that side pocket. Lift the breastbone up. And we'll go over to that right side, crunch everything in on the right, into the center, and then back the other way. And right shoulder down into the pocket, arch as you lift the breastbone up, left shoulder down into your side pocket, and then as you rotate over to the left, come back into the center, and then back the other way. Yeah, we'll go for another round there and back. Again, being mindful, noticing if, one, we're digging into the lower back at any point, if those hips are swiveling on the heels, and you can really get that feedback from the heels when we sit on top of them as to what's happening. And we'll bring it back into the center, and again, slowly coming up. All right, we're gonna change and go onto that other side. And again, take those knees towards the outer edge of the mat. All right, again, those hips can lift up a little bit. We're gonna take the shoulder down more towards the center of the pelvis if you can get it there. And then as you lay the head down on the floor or maybe on a block or something, and we'll try to push the hands forward so we get that nice little passive stretch here. Again, as we hang out, just remember to breathe. Really one of the best ways to calm down the nervous system. Think about letting everything ease and relax, is to focus on the breath. And of course, that 1-to-2 ratio always works. And you can think about a 4-second inhale and an 8-second exhale. And again, does that twist to the right, that rotation to the right, feel any different than the rotation to the left? Again, just taking notice of how the body reacts in certain positions. Remember, in your PAILs, we're trying to rotate back towards the center through the floor, and on the rails, it's that squeezing of the stuff on the right side, trying to crunch that in as we rotate or attempt to rotate further to the right. Take that inhale here, pack the air down, 20% effort, start to press the arms down into the floor like we're trying to rotate through the floor. 30% effort. A nice, steady, consistent increase to 40. And continue to watch that speedometer go up to 60 here, matching the effort throughout. And that safest maximal effort, trying to press the arm through the floor. Good, keep pushing hard. 2, 1, work to rotate the other way. Squeeze the stuff on the right side. Keep going, think spine doing the work, not necessarily the shoulders. 2, 1, and then relax. And hold that stretch. And of course, I use relax as a relative term here. Same thing, again, second set, take that inhale, nice and slow, press the arms down into the floor like we're trying to rotate back to the middle. You got 30% effort. 40%. 60, matching the effort throughout. Safest maximal effort, pushing it down as hard as you can. Try to rotate through the floor. 3, 2, 1. Try to rotate the other way. Squeeze the right side. Continue to pull like you're going through your golf swing here. 2, 1, and then relax and hold. Just another 15 seconds. And then again, slowly coming out. And just take a moment there. All right. Same thing that we were just doing in between. We'll go through your spinal CARs. Again, sitting on the heels, arms hug, flex the spine, and then we'll start crunching in stuff on the left as we rotate over. Left shoulder down into your pocket. Take the breastbone up towards the ceiling. Right shoulder down towards your right pocket. Rotate as you squeeze that stuff on your right side into the middle. and then back the other way. And we'll go for just one more round. And we'll include that going, rotating to the right and then back. And once you get back into the center, again, bring that spine back together. We'll lift the hips, step the right foot to the top of the mat. All right, we'll take the hands together, thumbs to the breastbone. And we're gonna take a rotation over to the right and then drop that left elbow just to the outside of the right knee, or maybe for some of us, just a little bit on top. All right, now we're gonna use that to push. So I want that right hand pushing down into the left. Find your rotation here. Some of us, we can even start to cup a little bit more, trying to find some irradiation. And we are gonna go through a passive range hold. So I want you to take an inhale here, squeeze the stuff all through that right side, and then bring the shoulders back over the hips, trying to keep that rotation. 2, 1, elbow again to the knee. Push, find your rotation here. Again, take that inhale, pack it down. Slowly lift, shoulders back over the waist, keep your rotation, squeeze that stuff on the right side. Take the elbow again to the outside of that leg, push. Take that inhale, squeeze the stuff there. Slowly release, lifting, hold. And then nice and steady, we'll come back into the center. And we'll change, step the right knee back, left knee forward. Again, same thing. We'll take the hands together in front. Some of us might like that little prayer sign. Others, we're gonna cup. Take the inhale, rotate to the left. Take that right, and really think about rotating as far as you can. Take the right elbow to the outside of the left leg, or maybe again, just to the top. Push the elbow into the knee. Find that rotation here. You gotta get that passive stretch. Start to squeeze that stuff even tighter on the left side. And as you squeeze there, again, inhale, slowly lift. Keep the rotation. 2, 1, again, take that elbow back to leg. Push, rotate, and squeeze the stuff here. Inhale, slowly lift, shoulders back over the waist. Again, elbow to the leg. Push, rotate. Again, squeeze that stuff right there. Inhale, pack it down, shoulders back, elbow from the leg. Hold. And slowly turning back to the center. And again, we can bring the legs back, sit down on the heel. All right, we're gonna go through some passive range lifts from that same base position before, where we had our spinal rotation. And so remember, those hips are gonna be off of the heel, but their hips are not gonna be forward towards the knees. Otherwise, it's not going to work for you. All right, so we'll actually change and get to the other side. So I'll shift over here. Same position, same base setup. Left shoulder comes down. Now, this was our passive range before. Notice how my hips are back towards the heels. This is exactly where we want them. Except I'm gonna come out of the stretch. All right, now the idea is not to just lift the arms. All right, we're not rotating through the shoulders. All right, you want that rotation through your trunk. All right, so it should look something like this. And again, as I come out of the stretch, and if you're down too far, you might want to lift up a little bit higher. All right, it's that inhale. Again, we're going to squeeze that stuff here on the right side, and then rotate through there, and then slowly lower it back down. Okay, so once we get set up, again, think rotating through your trunk. Cup the hands, take that inhale, rotate, and then slowly lowering it back down. That's one. Again, 2. Nice, squeeze the right side. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. Good. Bring that back down. And again, as we go to the other side, as I shift so I can look towards you beautiful people in the camera, all right, those hips are going to be back again, right? Arm comes over, although I'm sure not everyone has shifted like I have. Now remember, it's that rotation through the trunk and not pulling the arms away from the floor. Cup your hands. Take an inhale. Rotate to the left. And then bring it down. That's 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. Last one. 10. Lowering it down. Nice. Coming to all 4s. All right. Creating that box shape with the body, and we are going to go through our spinal segmentations here. And as you round the spine, I would start to lift these hips, gently press down through the lower back, belly button towards the floor, lower ribs dropping. Chest starts to pull through the shoulders forward. And then the head is the last thing. And again, we'll start at the hips, tucking it under, letting everything slowly move apart. Again, hips, just gently lifting, lower back, middle of the back, upper back, and then the head. And again, I know it was a while ago, but notice the difference in the quality of these spinal segmentations after all of that work. Does it feel a little bit more fatigued? Sure. Does it feel a little bit smoother? Maybe you'll have to answer that question yourself. Good, and then we'll come back up. Take the arms into your sides. If you got a seam on your pants, think middle finger onto the seam of the pants. Remember, the arms are going to go up and down, but they won't move forward and back. Arms glued to your side like a stiff robot here. Bring the shoulders up. We'll retract first, depress, and then protract, and then continue in that exact same direction. And noticing if our elbows are bending. Again, stiff robots don't bend their elbows. Ask the Tin Man. And we'll change direction, go the other way. Last round. Now we'll lower that down and we'll just find a little bit of love for your cervical spine. Shoulders down or locked in cement. And again, these at the end, just nice and light. Take the chin into the chest. Roll the chin across the collarbone. Could take the ear behind the shoulder. Look up towards the ceiling. Take the chin to the collarbone on the right, just in front of that right shoulder. Back into the middle. And then change direction again. Go back the other way. Again, just nice and light. We'll go for 2 more rounds. That's there and then back. And slowly lift that head once we get back into the center. And again, as always, thanks so much for joining me, and we'll see you next time.